All right, what's going on? Telegram 10 week 3 recap. So, why don't we start off with the absolute worst game of the entire year? And I cannot picture a worse game than this. I call this game the game of the week, and not good. I mean, that it was atrocious. Any adjective you can use to describe this would is just terrible. I mean, I can just use anything, any terrible word. Um, I should have started Matt Ryan. This was the stupid mistake. This type of mistake usually kills me. Um, Palmer going on the road west to East Coast in a 1 o'clock game. Those teams usually come out pretty sluggish. Palmer on the road is usually historically not that great, especially with Arizona. And then you had Matt Ryan going against the New Orleans defense in a dome area. So it was a terrible decision. I just kept Palmer because I saw how Fitzpatrick lit up the Buffalo defense in on that Thursday night game. So I thought I just didn't want to overthink it, but I should have went with my gut and started Palmer. Good thing it did not kill me. There's nothing to talk about here. This is just atrocious, awful, an embarrassment to fantasy football. I traded Melvin Gordon to Lamar Miller, or I traded Melvin Gordon for Lamar Miller, and Melvin Gordon didn't have a great game. I was watching that game a lot in the red zone. He didn't do anything except for a 1 yard touchdown late. Miller I would say Miller actually had a better day, even though he didn't score as much points. That Thursday night game against New England actually looked pretty good, I would say. I mean, his yards per carry wasn't that great. Look, he's been pretty consistent with the touches and everything. He just needs a touchdown. I think he's going to have a big game against Tennessee next week. That should help me. Other than that, C.J. Anderson, I mean, it's just terrible across the board. Last night, going into Monday night, I was up by 4, or I think 4.3 points, and I had Julio and he had Brandon Cooks, and between both of them, they didn't even score 4 points. I mean, it was just awful. Awful all around, a fitting end to what I call the game of the week. Let's just move on. We'll go to a much better game. I mean, it wasn't that close, but it looks like this is a Telegram 10 league record. He scored 166 points, Mosen did. And I believe the previous record was held by Hassan last year against my team with 161. I was not here for the first year of the league, so I'm not sure what was scored in that first year, but at least in the past year or so, this is the league record I know. I mean, everyone on his team did well. I mean, every player that actually matters. Like, Marvin Jones, I believe, has the best fantasy performance of a non-quarterback this year. I don't quote me on that, but he had 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he lit up Green Bay. That was all. In the second half, he was just lighting them up. Allen Robinson finally came and bounced back. LeGarrette Blount is a beast. Ezekiel Elliott, he did well against the Bears. Didn't score a touchdown, but he had a lot of yards. I believe. I think he had like 30 carries. Yeah, 30 carries, 140 yards. Rodgers, typical bounce back performance from him. You knew he was going to bounce back at home against Detroit. He's on a bye. I mean, look. I mean, what also helped him was basically Christine Michael being the de facto starter in Seattle now. I mean, Rawls is going to be out for like 5 or 6 weeks, and Michael's played really well. So that helped Mosen because you didn't know in the first couple weeks who to start. And that definitely hurt Mosen in the first couple weeks. So now that really helps him. Now that Michael is the absolute no doubt starter. Wentz for Amon has looked great. I mean, he's a huge Philly fan, and Wentz has looked great for him. Hyde's had a good year. Had a little. I mean, in the middle there, it wasn't that good, but he's had a pretty decent year. AJ Green has done really nothing since lighting up the Jets. So, I mean, that's basically the misery of a Jets fan right there. Gronk being out hurts him. I think Gronk might be back. I mean, Gronk's going to be good. When Brady comes back, they're going to both light it up, so wouldn't worry about that. Other than that, I mean, he benched the Vikings defense. That's the only thing against Carolina. That's obviously, it was like a good move going in, but I mean, who thought the Vikings were going to score 25 points against Carolina? Let's go to the next game. Gunslinger gets on the board, the defending champ with 92 points, even though he had negative points from his number one running back. Negative 5 yards, jeez. T.Y. Hilton had 23 points, pretty good performance from him. Doug Baldwin, 22. I mean, just an overall good performance. Frank Gore had 14 solid points. He might be looking for a quarterback, though. Russell Wilson looks banged up, man. I mean, he hasn't looked good at all this season. That ankle is really giving him problems, it looks like. Ryan Mang. Also, what I found interesting is that Mang also talks in the smack board here. I was actually looking through this. I thought this was kind of funny. SN, and it looks like SN is actually talking to himself because he has two accounts. He actually is Ryan Mang, so it's kind of funny how SN is talking to himself in the smack board. Mang, if you're watching this, the inside joke is that SN is actually you. He has two teams in the league because you're not in the group chat and we have no idea who you are. So maybe join our chat, man. Join the fun. A lot of stuff going on in there for sure. McCoy, so he traded McCoy, or he received McCoy in a trade for Jarvis Landry. Because he was desperate for running backs. I mean, look at this. He has Doug Martin. He drafted Adrian Peterson, and Jonathan Stewart's out. I mean, he's in trouble, man. Like, he needs the running backs. He needs better performance as wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey hasn't had a great year, so he's gonna have to figure something out here. Still 2-1 though. He's got time. So let's go to the leading scorer of the entire league is 1-2. That's right. George scored 151, which would have been a season record so far if it wasn't for Mosen. I don't see anyone breaking 166. That's almost impossible to do. Breeze, DeMarco. I mean, just going down the line. I mean, everyone played well. Jordy Nelson had a great day. Jarvis Landry ripped up the Browns. He would have more if Sanu didn't get injured. Even his kicker had 17 points. SN, pretty pedestrian day at 88 points. Probably would have beat 3 or 4 teams, but only bright spot was David Johnson, who has had a crazy good year so far. Number 1 ranked running back. There you go. I love that. I love that guy's talent. D'Angelo is now going to be the backup to Le'Veon. Elite stud, top 10, whatever you want to SN call him. 1 catch for 31 yards, so maybe he should have sold high. Rudolph could pick up for him. So he benched Marshall. I don't give a shit about that. He benched Marshall. I mean, good move, because, I mean, Marshall had 2.7, but, you know, it didn't really make a difference. I mean, Decker had 3.1, and Diggs had 4 points, so maybe he's going to be looking for a running back, possibly. Theo Riddick is a pretty good running back, I would say, but, I mean, he's going to have to find another one. Cam Newton didn't do well for him either. Last game of the day, Mr. Yates, 0-3, going, I guess, the quote-unquote super team. He had a combined 26 points from his wide receivers, which would normally be okay. But once you trade your entire team for those 2 wide receivers, you need at least 30 or 35. Especially since Brown and Beckham are, I guess, considered to be the 2 best players in fantasy, or most valuable players, I would say, going into the year. No, I guess, you know, obviously it was the first and second picks. So, yeah, I mean, he took the risk, and now he is 0-3. Benjamin had 0 for him. That was rough. Charles Sims, who it was a good stash on his bench. He's the he's starting running back for Buccaneers now. Gurley, Luck. I mean, Gurley had a good bounce back week for him. 27 carries, not the greatest yards per carry, but that doesn't matter in fantasy. Still got 2 touchdowns. Des Bryant hasn't had the greatest year. I mean, he's been 44th ranked for wide receiver, so, and he might be injured. But luckily for AK, Trevor Siemian, the quarterback for Denver, is actually broken out a little bit, and he gave 14 points to Demarius and 23 to Emmanuel Sanders. So maybe he's not going to be hurting for wide receivers that badly. We'll see. So AK goes to 2-1, and Yates goes to 0-3. So why don't we go to the standings here? Let's see. I'm just gonna check on my time. 10 minutes. Oh geez. All right, I gotta hurry up. I'm 3-0. Look, I'm not making any apologies for winning that game. Okay. Last year in this league, I think I scored over 100 3 times and lost. Okay. You get so many more losses in fantasy football where you score high and you lose. So I'm not making any apologies for winning that crappy game. So say what you want. I'm 3-0, top of the league, followed by SN, and then Dre, AK, Mang, and then George, who's the highest scoring team in the league, I believe. Yes. 362, followed by Mosen. So 2 1-2 teams, top of the league in scoring. But Mosen had a great week this week, but he was not that good the first 2 weeks. So, I mean, that's why it's kind of inflated right now. It'll start evening out as the year goes on. So Yates, man, the superstar, whatever, he's like a superstar fantasy player. Like, he's flown out, he flies out for drafts and everything. And he's 0-3 in our little 10-team league standard team. I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything, but it's kind of ironic. So quickly, we'll go through go through week 4 previews. Good match between me and SN. Basically, it's technically the top 2 teams in the league. Then you got Amon and AK, Mang and George, Dre and Mosen. That's a good game. And then Yates and Gunslinger, who both need wins. I mean, Yates, this is almost do or die. 0-4. I almost came back from 1-5 last year, but you basically got to be flawless. So get your waiver pickups in today. It processes overnight. And Mang, if you're watching this, please, feel free to join our group chat. It's pretty fun. If you exist. We'll see if you exist, because I know SN, there's a possibility where SN has 2 teams in this league. So he's hiding behind the name. Other than that, I cannot think of anything else to say. That's it. I can't think of anything else. So, good week, guys, and I'll see you guys later.